I'm Sharmeen Ali with the Weekly Business Review. The Chinese premier announced an investment of $31.5 billion in Pakistan, mainly in the country's energy, infrastructure and port expansion for Gwadar. Initially, projects worth $15 to $20 billion will be started, which include the Lahore-Karachi motorway, Gwadar port expansion. The energy sector projects will be launched in Gadani, in addition to 6 coal projects near Thar coal field. The third Pak-China Business Forum promoted university-industry collaboration in business and economic sectors for the mutual benefit of both countries. Some 130 Chinese and 100 Pakistani companies displayed their equipment and appliances at the forum, which is attended by more than 100,000 visitors. The forum encompassed project exhibitions, seminars, workshops, and industrial academic expos. It also helps in promoting thematic areas of new energy technologies, information and communication technologies, water conservation, purification and sanitation, and biomedical materials. The forum provided an opportunity for commercialization of products of the participating organizations. We now have with us Mr. Tanveer Jafri, the head of the China Studies Center of ComSat's Institute of Information Technology, and he's also someone who has held several responsible positions in the provincial and federal government. Thank you so much for being with us today, Mr. Jafri.
Thank you, Sharmeen, for having me here.
Well, Mr. Jafri, these days there's a lot of buzz about Chinese investment in Pakistan, and the bulk of that tends to be in the large infrastructure projects, such as in energy sector, as well as motorways and railways and things like that. IT, for example, lately the Zong licenses, 3G and 4G licenses that were recently bought by Zong, the Chinese company. So as far as Chinese business investments and interests in Pakistan and vice versa. You were mentioning to me earlier today that there's a lot of deficiencies that you see that are there that could also be enhanced, meaning that there's more potential out there which we should be tapping into. So what exactly would that be?
Oh, definitely. There is a lot of potential. Mm-hmm. At the moment, our trade is over $12 billion, mm-hmm. but it could quadruple over the next decade, maybe even 5 years, if we were to move in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And there's no harm in big sectors, mm-hmm. investment coming into big sectors, but there are a lot of small sectors, value-added sectors, where a lot of things can be done.
Right. For example, what sectors would you
Well, we can talk about, you talked about ICT, that's both big and small.
Right.
When we look at the appliances, and we also look at the apps, and the software and the programming.
Right.
A lot of small things which can be done but can bring in a lot of money.
Okay.
We can talk about, let's say, what are called creative products, mm-hmm. which women can make, women entrepreneurs can make. We can talk about jewelry. Mm-hmm. We can talk about gemstones. Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning
whole sectors of marble and stone, mm-hmm. of food and food products, rice, for example. These are extremely important for the Chinese market, mm-hmm. and we have not really been able to capture them.
Basically, we've been exporting more of raw materials to China, but there
Correct.
could be a lot more.
Take the example of cotton.
Right.
It's just cotton and yarn. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We have not moved into value addition properly.
Okay, great. That's very interesting to know. But what exactly is the contribution of the organization, the institute you work for, which is the China Studies Center, towards improving this gap, which you feel is there?
Well, China Studies Center is the only center by its name, by that name, mm-hmm. in Pakistan.
Okay.
We have 6 Pakistan study centers, mm-hmm. in China, in top-ranking universities over there.
Okay.
ComSats, as you know, is ranked 4th in Pakistan amongst the general category of universities,
okay, that's
the bigger
wonderful.
category of universities.
Right.
And we have relationships, the China Study Center has relationships and partnership with 5 Pakistan study centers in China.
Okay.
And these centers are a window, mm-hmm. for all kinds of activities, including including trade, culture, business, research, science, technology transfer. Okay. We are utilizing this window, mm-hmm. to get into all these areas and do as much as possible. Okay. And also, you might have heard of the Pak-China Business Forum.
Yes, I was coming to that next. You've held 3 Pakistan-China Business Forums under this China Study Center, right? That's one of your activities. So how has that contributed towards increasing the partnerships between small and medium-sized businesses in China and Pakistan?
Yes, I'll answer that. But before that, let me tell you the strengths of the China Study Center.
Okay.
We have more than 63 doctorates, PhDs, Pakistanis from Chinese universities who are working for ComSats.
Wow, okay.
And about 35 of our faculty members are at the moment in China doing their PhDs.
Okay.
So we have this critical mass of very, very professional and technical people.
Right.
In management sciences, in IT, in mathematics, in biosciences, you name it.
Okay.
And we cooperate, we have MOUs with more than a dozen leading universities of China, and we cooperate in research, in technology, joint projects, you know. And when it comes to business, we have been a lead player for the last 3 years in Pakistan as far as Pak-China business is concerned.
Okay, all right. So
the first Pak-China Business Forum was held 2 years ago. That was in 2012. That is actually the year when we started the China Study Center.
okay.
And we had it was a modest beginning rather.
Sure.
We had about 14, 15 companies come in from China, and we had about 50 companies from here. Of course, it was easier to get companies from here because we partner with the chambers of commerce over here. So,
Right.
so
And
we had this.
You had your 3rd one just recently,
Yeah,
and I think
that's
you've had
been a great
significant,
success.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, a
it's going up like
significant
this.
increase in the participation.
Exactly,
of
and our
companies
learning
people.
curve has been going up too. For example, this time there were about 120 Chinese companies with about 200 delegates whom we hosted.
Okay,
And there were an equal number of companies from Pakistan
okay,
through courtesy of many organizations, including the Chambers of Commerce and the UNIDO. I'm mentioning UNIDO because UNIDO is actually training women entrepreneurs who have had a rather tough life
Okay.
and they like to be on their own now and independent.
right,
And we had them showcase their products also.
right,
Now the Business Forum is not just showcasing products. It's bringing matchmaking. It's
Yeah.
bringing the business together.
yes,
And we managed to sign 68 MOUs.
wow. Okay,
between
that
different
is so
parties.
integral to actually bring businesses together in the 2 different countries.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so 60 MOUs you've signed.
No, 68.
68 MOUs, and so now those businesses will be collaborating with each other in their future
Definitely,
activities.
definitely.
Okay, that's a huge leg up for them.
And quite a few of them were these business women I'm talking about.
Okay,
And the other day, I got a call from one of the ladies, and she said that they were wanting to have a Pak-China Business Women Forum so that they could independently
Yeah.
cooperate on that level.
especially for women entrepreneurs. That's wonderful. Your China Study Center also does a lot of work towards developing the human potential, human resource potential for employment in China. And you also help them develop a China-specific skill set in order for that to happen. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Definitely. It's not just that we want our younger generation to go to China and work. We want them to be entrepreneurs too. We are basically a university which believes in the triple helix model, which means that the university assumes the leading role along with the government and the industry
Right.
to produce entrepreneurs, to research, to incubate products, and then they get commercialized by the industry. So major universities in the world are following this example. And this particular forum which we have is just one component of what we are doing. So when it comes to the skill set, we believe, and this is what has been documented in many research, that for the next 2 or 3 decades, it will be people with a particular skill set who will get very good jobs in the business market, and they will be China related.
Right.
It's not just Chinese state-owned enterprises or their multinationals which are going everywhere in the world. But imagine each and every big company now cannot afford to run successfully unless they outsource or resource something from China.
Absolutely.
And
So
so they
many
have their-
large companies have their corporate offices in China as
Exactly.
well, right?
And so they need all this human resource. It's
Absolutely.
not just the Chinese who need that.
Okay.
So we have introduced at the university a course called Chinese Markets and Management. Basically, China is a culture-driven business.
So you're teaching them the language and the culture and what they need to actually get ahead in a Chinese business environment.
Exactly. Any individual, especially Pakistani, we are really in a way blessed that we know good English over here.
Absolutely.
So there is that deficiency in China as far as English is concerned. So any business graduate from here with an idea of Western style of management, if he were to have these Chinese skill sets, it means, you know, the Chinese way of business is a little different. It's culture driven. They know the culture of the country.
And the Chinese management style is
The
also very
management style is
different from the
also very
West.
different.
Yes.
Not very different, but quite different. The Chinese management style is is a little bit more, let me say, less freer than that in the West.
Right.
But it's more benevolent. So some people say that this is more productive, some people say that that is more productive. But right now, a new kind of business management style is coming up in Chinese organizations and entities. And that is working very well with the combination of the two styles. So if you teach our graduates something about Chinese culture, about Confucius, about Chinese mindset, and how they work, and what kind of a business setup they have, give them a little bit of language. Now, Pinyin is that type of language which is written in English letters. So we are also developing business for Chinese language for businessmen,
Okay.
a course,
Okay.
which could be a virtual course also online.
Which doesn't include the Chinese alphabet. You can actually use the Roman English kind of
That's
alphabet.
correct. That's
Right.
correct.
Okay.
That makes life easier.
That makes
so
life
we have
much
this
easier.
whole package for people who want to do business with China, or who want to work with Chinese entities, or who want to work in entities who are big with China.
Okay. So they'll be able to communicate verbally in
Definitely.
Chinese, but they don't necessarily have to write it when they're sending their messages and all. So that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, you generally do get secretarial support where emails can be sent in Chinese. Because if you do write in the Mandarin, that is the real Chinese, then it makes the other person feel more comfortable. And it would depend upon that person, that individual who's trying to develop himself or herself, to learn as much Chinese as they want.
That's great. I think that's really going to help out all those young people out there who are going to be looking for jobs. And speaking of future employment, what can they expect? I mean, once they've been trained, what's the potential for employment in China once they've gone through your different processes and your training and all? How many jobs are out there for people to exploit?
Oh, the sky's the limit, I
For
tell
our
you.
youth.
The sky's the limit, because everyone is saying that China is going to take over the world and be the bigger economy than
they're our best
the US.
friend.
And it's a best friend.
Yes.
And can I tell you a small anecdote?
Absolutely.
When I'm in class, when I'm teaching, I generally ask from the students, who's the topper? Who gets the best grades over here? And someone says, me, sir. And I then go on and say, who is your best friend? And then he or she says, me. I said, what about your grades? Very good, sir, good enough. How come? Well, we study together, we cooperate. I said, do you cheat? Maybe sometimes I do. But look at us. We are right there next to China, so-called best friend.
There you go.
And there is more trade, much more trade with India than between Pakistan and China.
There you go. Well, that really sums it up well. And thank you so much for being with us, giving us all this really useful information for our viewers, sir. And I hope we'll see you here again soon on PTV World.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure meeting you, Sharmeen, and talking to your audience.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye to everyone.